Welcome back. The Ogun State Governor, Ibikunle Amosun, has assured the people of the state of more development projects across the 3 senatorial districts as part of his rebuilding mission in his second term in office. He made the promise while on a thank-you visit to the palaces of 2 paramount rulers in the state. While congratulating the governor on his re-election, the 2 paramount rulers gave their royal blessings, wishing the governor a successful tenure as he advances his mission to improve the socio-economic and political fortunes of the state for the good of all. The All Progressive Congress in Cross River State has called for the cancellation of the just concluded governorship and House of Assembly elections in the state. The state's APC chairman, Mr. Usani, said this during a brief meeting with journalists on the outcome of the polls at the party secretariat in Calabar, Cross River State.
Reactions have begun trailing the exercise by those aggrieved with the conduct of the process in Cross River State. Gathered in this hall are governorship and House of Assembly candidates of the All Progressives Congress, including the party officials and international observers during the last election. The chairman of the party alleged that the entire process was marred with irregularities, as manual registration was allowed by voters with the connivance of the opposition party and INEC. He also decried the violent attacks meted on their supporters during the polls and called on security agencies to investigate and bring the perpetrators to justice.
In spite of the fact that card readers were not being used, in several areas, result sheets were not provided. In areas where they were provided, the booklets did not have complete result sheets.
Reacting to this, the State Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, Godi Etta, described the election as credible, but he urged the APC to emulate their party by conceding defeat. Meanwhile, the governorship candidate of the APC, who emerged second in the polls, has congratulated the governor-elect, Ben Ayade, through a phone call for emerging victorious.
As results for the governorship and House of Assembly are being announced, so are the complaints. In Anambra State, the All Progressive Congress, APC, and the People's Democratic Party, PDP, are accusing the All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA, of rigging the election.
The governorship and House of Assembly election results are being announced from various states, but there are disagreements. One of such is Anambra in southeast Nigeria. The All Progressive Congress APC has condemned the exercise, saying it was characterized by violence and massive rigging.
REC, as we speak, allowed the electoral materials to be in the hand of APGA. Security agencies were protecting the talks of APGA, and they were here and there molesting all our agents, molesting even the voter, intimidating voters, snatching ballot boxes in so many places and so many wards.
I was in touch with the REC. I told him, you said if the card readers do not work, elections should be shifted to the next day. And in 85% of Idemili North, for example, the card readers were not used. It was manual. So what did you collate?
But the People's Democratic Party, PDP, is pointing accusing fingers at the sitting governor, accusing him of thwarting the electoral process.
Governor Willie Obiano has introduced thuggery into the politics of Anambra State. It had never been like this. We've had elections since 1998, and there was no incident of thuggery. But something has changed.
For the national chairman of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, Victor Ome, the APC and PDP have long expired in the state, and the victory of APGA in the state was well deserved.
APGA has never been known to be rigging elections. We have been victims of election rigging. The APC and the PDP accusing the governor of Anambra State of rigging election. Can only say so to deceive the public, or for them to pretend that they are in existence in Anambra State when they know all along that they are no longer in existence in Anambra State.
The disagreeing parties would have to take their matter to the appropriate quarters, the courts.
International observers have also been commenting on the conduct of the general elections in Nigeria. One of them is the United States Embassy, which says that while the conduct of the elections was commendable, there were irregularities in some states. It named the states as Rivers and Akwa Ibom. In a press statement released today, the U.S. says we have seen the reports of violence and alleged irregularities, particularly in Rivers and Akwa Ibom states. It urged the aggrieved parties to seek justice in the courts rather than resort to violence. Despite these, the U.S. says the President-elect, General Muhammadu Buhari, and President Jonathan deserve commendation for conducting themselves peacefully at the polls. Nigeria's 2015 general elections have been a talking point across the world, with analysts at different points examining the fallout of the process. At a conference held at the Wilson Center in Washington, D.C., the participants, which included Assistant Secretary of State for Africa, Ambassador Johnny Carson, praised the conduct of the polls, but pointed out that the major work to transform Nigeria has just begun. Our Washington correspondent, Maria Bird, reports.
Nigerian elections are still a major focal point in the United States. The Wilson Center here in Washington has held a discussion about the assessment of the 2015 elections.
Professor Jega, the chair of INEC, and the other members of the commission deserve a great deal of praise for the work that they did. It was a resounding cry across the nation, reflected in some of the Afrobarometer polls.
The forum not only discussed the overwhelming success of Nigeria's presidential election, but scholars also highlighted the need for the new government to engage all Nigerians.
It's going to be very important for the victor to be magnanimous. We cannot afford to alienate our South-South, Southeast brothers and sisters. It's going to be very important for Muhammadu Buhari and leaders of the APC to come forward with a very comprehensive policy that will engage those who did not vote for them.
Conference attendees were inspired by the dialogue during the session, as they also had opinions about the future of Nigeria.
Coming to this event was a sign of relief, also a sign of implementation, not only for Nigerians here in the United States or the African diaspora, but it also gave hope and optimism that all hands should be on deck to make sure that Buhari succeeds and to make sure that any mistakes of the past should not be repeated again.
It's time for us to begin to move forward. And I think by virtue of the fact that he's been able to bring so many people together, so many highly qualified people from different parts of the country, of different religion, that itself is a wonderful sign.
The U.S. is still watching and waiting to see what's next for Nigeria. From Washington, Maria Bird, Channel Television News.
Well, the governorship election in Rivers State may have come and gone, but agitations about the conduct of the election are still rife. This time, a group of independent observers have added their voice to what they call the questionable way the polls were conducted.
It is perhaps one of the most anticipated governorship elections in Nigeria. Oil-rich Rivers State in Nigeria's south-south was under the spotlight. As Rivers citizens marched to the polls on Saturday, the expectations were intense, and afterwards the outcome of the process is now generating controversies between the contenders. More reactions keep pouring in on the conduct of the election in the state, this time not from politicians, but from members of the independent observer groups that say the election presents more questions than answers.
What happened in Rivers State is a far cry from what elections should be. What we saw did not meet the accepted international standards of electioneering, not even the ones set by Independent National Electoral Commission, that is INEC. There were cases of deliberate delays, diversions of electoral materials, attack on electoral officers, widespread arson, snatching of electoral materials, killings, voters' intimidation, with active connivance of some security agencies.
The group is also concerned over logistics and security on the election day.
In many polling stations visited around Port Harcourt, up until 11:30 a.m., there were no signs of electoral personnel or materials from INEC. This sent a very wrong signal. For places close to INEC's office in the city, where the materials were stored, we wonder what caused the delays. Was it incompetence, or was it premeditated sabotage? Most disturbing was the organized disruption of the electoral process by hoodlums who had a free rein, despite the presence of security personnel. In many areas of the state, people who had business at the polling stations hijacked the process, chased away voters, took possession of materials, and engaged in mind-boggling irregularities spread over by some politicians.
It has been a busy past few weeks for voters, politicians, and the observers too. But for them, they believe any aggrieved persons should channel their grievances to the appropriate quarters.
When the news at 10 returns, it's exactly 1 year since the Chibok girls were abducted from school. Do join us again.